Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tawny. I'm just a Christian girl who loves Christian romance books and over the last several years has made it my entire personality. If you can't tell, today is going to be all about this book. I am doing my very first reading vlog and I figured this book would be the perfect one to kick off this reading vlog journey. These videos, reading vlogs, looks like so much fun to make and I love watching them. And so I thought, you know what, we're going to give it a go with this amazing book. This is by one of my very favorite authors, Joanna Davidson Politano. The name of the book is The Curious Inheritance of Blakely House. It's a highly anticipated read and I know it's going to be amazing. So I'm excited to go on this journey with you guys. To get started, I will just read you the back of the book and give you guys an idea of what we will find inside. Okay. A clever young woman, a contested will, and an estate that does not easily give up its secrets. It is 1901 when clockmaker and tinker Sidney Forrester receives a most unusual inheritance. Blakely House, the island estate of an estranged uncle she's never met, seems almost alive, revealing and hiding its secrets at will. It is filled with remarkable inventions, including an intriguing, unfinished automation Sidney is itching to get her skilled hands on. The estate is also home to a number of peculiar people, including two men intent on removing this interloper from the island. Convinced that Sidney has something to do with their uncle's death, the late master's nephews contest the will and work against their cousin at every turn. Sidney finds a sometimes ally in the estate's butler, an ex-adventurer who ran aground on the island years ago. But when a mysterious man washes ashore with a stunning surprise that upsets everything, Sidney must prove she has inherited the late master's brilliance as well as his property, or someone else will. All of her books have elements of mystery. I mean, as you can tell just from the blurb, but all of her books have this mystery air that just keeps you turning the pages. Her books, I don't want to say they're light on romance, but romance typically isn't at the forefront of the story. And yet the romance is done beautifully and unexpectedly in so many cases. So even though I am an avid romance reader, I am 100% okay that mystery takes the stage in her books. Her faith is always really strong. It's not always in your face and heavily on the page, but she does it very beautifully and it works in every single one of her books that I've read. I haven't read this book, obviously, and one other of her books. And all of the other ones that I have read have had just phenomenal faith, romance, and mystery. So if you haven't checked this author out yet, definitely do so. And hopefully, if you haven't and you're still on the fence, this reading vlog will convince you. So with that all being said, I'm going to get started in this book and we'll do periodic updates when I can. If there's like a big twist, I'm not going to do spoilers for sure. I definitely don't want to spoil anything about this book, but I'll just give you kind of like what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, and we will go from there. And also I'm going to do a tabbing video that I will include in this one that will show you some tabs that I did my best to match the cover of the book because that's what I like to do. And I know this is going to be a heavily tabbed book because I love finding little lines, scenes, quotes that I love so that I can go back and when I'm thinking about it or I'm trying to write a review, I will have, something to draw on. But with that all said, I'm going to get into it. And next like I said, you'll see the tabbing video. But then from then on, we'll just go through and do our best to make a reading vlog that will convince you to read this book. Okay, I want to start out by apologizing for not having my mic. I completely forgot it this morning when I left to come where I am. So I apologize that the audio quality isn't as good. But I am on page 228. I wanted to film earlier than this, but I just haven't had the ability to. So that's where I'm at. I'm hoping to finish this book today. I have, like, I don't know, let me see. I'll show you roughly how much I have left. This is how much I have left, which I feel like I could definitely do in a day without any issue. But so far, I'm loving it. Not surprising at all. It is completely unexpected than... It is completely different than what I was expecting. I read the blurb, and I mean, it fits the blurb, but at the same time, in true Joanna Davidson Politano fashion, she puts a twist on the actual story. So it definitely, blurb fits, but there's just so much more. So I have gone through, I've tabbed quite a bit. I will say, again, as all of her books, her heroine is so good, like so lovable and so much fun to read about. And she's different though than the other ones that I've read. She actually isn't a Christian. She is very leery of God and she questions God a lot. So I've liked seeing little bits and pieces of her faith not of her faith, but of her relationship with God, or lack thereof, is kind of starting to change where I'm at right now. So I absolutely love that in books. So I'm excited to get deeper into it. But again, as usual, the hero is not who I was expecting at all. I don't know who I was expecting, to be honest, but definitely not this guy. So that was kind of neat to come across that and discovering like who he really is. So again, loving that. Let me see if I can find a couple of passages that I really enjoyed. I'm going to go towards the beginning. We start out and we meet her, we meet Sydney. Goodness. We meet Sydney and she works at like a clock shop. I don't know if it's necessarily a clock shop, but like they fix clocks, watches, and other little machinery mechanisms. And she lives with her Aunt Lottie. And this is a Joanna specialty, like how she forms words, how she puts together words to describe things, like things that you just don't expect. There's no like cliches with her. It's like she comes up with her own thing. So this one is, I had become like a viper she held close, her ruin. So she's talking about Aunt Lottie because her Aunt Lottie had to sacrifice a lot in order to take her in. She's basically an orphan, but with a mom somewhere out there. So yeah, there's just that immediate, and that's like very towards the very beginning. And then let's see, there's some other things. Oh, and here's an example of her issue with God. This is after she had fixed something that another character was shocked that she was able to fix. And he said, "No luck about it. God has blessed you with great skill, Miss Forrester," which is her. At this, she bristled. "Is it so impossible that I used my own faculties to arrive at the solution? Why must everything be attributed to some unseen divinity or a man?" And then he says, "Your intellect came from somewhere." And she said, "Yes, my own head." So she's like unwilling to accept that God has blessed her with these gifts. And, you know, she's still just very uncertain about everything when it comes to God. So, you know, I'm excited to see her come into that faith and see what causes her to. But the hero, I will say, is a Christian and, you know, has been pointing her to God. And I will also say there's not a whole lot of romantic stuff going on yet, which is, again, pretty normal for her books, and I'm totally okay with it because the plot is what's driving. And the plot is, she is basically
contest with her two male cousins about inheriting an estate. And she's very clever, and she fixes things very easily. She likes to go in, and she's very like analytical. So she wants to figure out how something works in order to fix what's broken. So, and that's what this uncle, this is her, she didn't know him at all. So it was kind of random that she got this message to come to Blakely House, because she's like, I didn't know this man. Why would he leave anything to me? So yeah, and then there's these two cousins who did know her uncle, and they're very bitter about her being there for multiple reasons. And so basically there's this like kind of like a robot sort of that her uncle had started building and wasn't able to finish. And basically the contest is whoever is able to make this robot. They don't call it a robot. I can't even pronounce the word that they call it. This is 1901. But whoever gets it to work, they are assuming is going to get the inheritance. Now, we don't know for sure if that's even a fact, but that is her best chance of inheriting Blakely House, which she absolutely loves, because she comes to understand that her uncle is very like her. Like, she's very scatterbrained, but she's smart. Like, but her brain is basically firing on all cylinders, a bunch of tabs open on her browser, and sometimes she struggles to focus. And she comes to learn that her uncle who had passed away, who she might be inheriting from, was the same way. So she just has this connection with Blakely House, and everybody is basically at the beginning, they're trying to get her out. They don't want this outsider to be able to inherit what they think is theirs to take. So they set up all these things to try to scare her out of the house, but it actually just intrigues her even more. So I am very much enjoying it. I'm looking forward to finishing, but I wanted to come on and have at least one thing in this reading vlog as like an input in the part way through the book. But I just, like I said, I haven't been able to like get away to actually film. So that is all I have right now. Like I said, I'm hoping to finish today. If anything else comes up that I'm like, I want to share this, I will post that in here, but I'm not sure if I will be able to do that today, even if there is something that comes up, but I will do my best to do that. And I will see you in a little bit. Okay, something else I feel important is to note. The cousins that I had mentioned earlier actually suspect that Sydney killed their Uncle Emmett. Uncle Emmett is the uncle who passed away and is potentially willing his estate to Sydney. So I feel like that's important, and I probably should have included it. But now, at this point in the book, her goal is to solve his murder, his assumed murder. So we don't know a whole lot about it, and she's actually learning little by little more about her uncle as she studies his inventions and now his journals, ledgers. So I just wanted to throw that in there. So that's like part of the mystery of the story, is basically her trying to figure out who killed her uncle. So, because as of right now, these cousins and some of the servants at the place think that it was her for whatever reason. So, and we don't know that. So that's another thing that I'm hoping we will learn. Like, why would they even think that it was her? But actually, yeah, we kind of do know that. So I don't want to say that because it might be a slight spoiler. But regardless, she is trying to discover who actually killed her uncle, or figure out at least what happened to her uncle. So I just wanted to throw that in there, but I'm going to get back to it.
Okay, so it is currently May 5th. I finished this book on April 26th, and I have not gotten to finish this reading vlog. So I am apologizing that there are so many days in between finishing the book and getting this recorded. So, anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I do recommend this book. It's almost has a steampunk element, but it's based in 1901. So, take that for what you will. Very interesting. She is a not clockmaker, clock fixer, like mechanical fixer for like the stuff that was around in the early 1900s. And she was very scatterbrained, and like her mind just worked like with a bunch of open tabs. I think I said that previously in this video, but and that's how she was through the entire book. Very scattered, really hard to focus on. Like if somebody's talking to her, she just kind of gets pulled in other directions. So it's like her brain has to catch up to her reality. But she was still very, very likable. And the hero, the whole aspect of the hero was very unexpected. And I very much enjoyed that part of it. And Joanna always has lovable heroines and rootable heroes. So I have my review here, and because I have waited too long to record this, I just have a couple notes. So if you see me looking down, it's just going off there. But there's, like I said, there's like a steampunk element, a clockmaker in the early 1900s. There was like a competition of sorts between Sydney, our female main character, and her cousins. And her goal was to finish this, I think they called it an automation. And it's basically a robot that is designed to help finish, like just help you in general. So nobody else can figure out how it works. Like her cousins, who are brilliant, like professional schooling and all of that, and like she just kind of learned from her aunt, just day to day life stuff. And you see her brilliance at work whenever she's dealing with this automation. Like she thinks outside of the box of what the cousins thought of academically, if that makes sense. And so you get to see that aspect of her and appreciate her oddities more because of it, because it is benefiting the potential completion of this automation that her uncle started before he passed away. We also see she is told in first person, so we get to see like through her eyes as she goes through the day-to-day situations and the struggles and all of that. And then from the hero's perspective, we are in third person point of view. So we still get to see a lot from his perspective, but it's just told from a different point of view. And I think all of her books have been that way. So that's really interesting how she does that, and you don't even notice. But we also get to see a couple other people's points of view, again from third person, throughout the story. And so we get to see even more than we normally would if it was just told from those two different points of view. So I really like that we were able to see that and get insight into the other characters. And the other thing is the house itself is set up obviously very different. Like it's a lot more advanced than the standard house in the early 1900s. So, but the stuff that freaks other people out that have been there intrigues Sydney. So it's like this odd little girl fits in perfectly to this odd little house, and the house almost felt like another character and not just a house. So that part was really neat. I enjoyed that. And like, I don't want to say I'm always the best at guessing what happens, but everything about this book came out of left field, but was laid out the right way. Like it was laid out. It's not like it came out of left field and it just was like, we're just going to throw this in here for a plot twist and not have anything leading up to it. It's like everything led up to it, but it's just in a way that you never saw coming. So that part was really neat. I enjoyed that aspect of it. So there's a lot that you didn't think of as being important, but it was. And they also seemed like they were just scattered pieces, but they brought together the whole of the book so that the whole book made sense, if that makes sense. But yeah, there was just a lot of, I like the inner workings of this author's mind just blows my mind, because I'm like, I don't know how you come up with all of these unique ideas. But this was a really neat story, and I really, really enjoyed it. Um, yeah, the faith, there was a decent amount of faith towards the end of the book. And she even notes that in her author note, I think. Yeah, it was in her author note, because I do read those. But she noted that there wasn't as much faith at the beginning, because it just, she's like, I planned on having more, but it just didn't work out that way. And I get that, because like books and characters have a mind of their own, and you kind of have to just go with the flow. But yeah, so but towards the end, the faith definitely grew. There was more of it, and I know I've said it here before, but I really like a lot of faith in books. That's my personal opinion. And so when I see that in books, I really thoroughly enjoy that. And this one definitely had that, especially at the end. There was also faith at the beginning. It just wasn't as on page as it was at the end, but it worked for the story. So just I'll just leave it at that. Like, definitely enjoyed the faith in the book. I gave it three crosses. So, and there was a little bit of a faith arc for the main character. So I definitely, I think the three crosses works for that. And then I also gave it one kiss, because the kissing, like the romance in it was lighter, but when it was there, it was very sweet and tender, and not like overly intense. Like, it again fit the story and the vibe of the story and the whole experience. And there was not a whole lot of kissing. So yeah, it was a one kiss romance, which was perfectly fine. It fit it perfect. Like I've said before, I go to her books. I enjoy her books for the plot. Like, her plots are always spectacular, outstanding, gripping, page turning, and this one was no different. But her romance, the romance in the book, is kind of just like the cherry on top of the icing, and the faith is the icing. And but the faith is also important to the story. But regardless, her books are just done very, very well, and this book is no exception. So if you have, if you've been on the fence with, should I pick it up, should I not, do it. Just do it. You'll enjoy it. You're going to, it's a fun ride, it's a heartwarming ride, it's a surprising ride. Like, it has all the things. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this book. And again, if you haven't read anything by this author yet, you're going to want to get on it. Like, trust me, her books are phenomenal. And she has a way with words, unlike, there's very few people who I've experienced whose books kind of resonate with me the way that these do. And not even just like the stories are really great and really strong, but also the prose itself is just, it's just so good. Like, I keep saying that, and you're probably like, okay, Tawny, you've said so good about her so many times. I just don't even know how else to explain it. And I feel like that pales in comparison of what it actually deserves. So, all right, I'm going to stop like gushing over that. But yes, definitely pick it up if you are on the fence. And hopefully I convinced you. And again, check out this author, check her out on social media, her website, and her books. Definitely her books. So, if you want to see how much I've tabbed, decent amount, especially toward the end. So, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, week, weekend, whenever it is that you're watching this. God bless, and I will see you next time. Bye.